What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kinda Funny Gamescast, episode 213. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the busiest lady in the business, Andrea Renee.
What's good, Greg?
Your shirt, number one. This is a brand new outfit. We're a big fan of this supermarket.
Thank you very much. I was saying during the pre-show that I love this shirt because I got it in a special Mario capsule collection that Forever 21 was doing in the New York store when I was hosting the Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Over there, the man, the myth, the legend, the best hair in the business, Fran Mirabella III.
What's up, Greg? How's it going, best friends?
It's nothing's. My hair is up.
Yeah.
Before this, you came in here and you did my hair. Or during the pre-show, you can get on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. You can come see Fran do my hair.
Yeah. Did we talk about it
Bear,
on the show
give me
last
the one.
week?
Give me the one. Yeah,
I can't remember if it was in the pre or post show.
It was the pre or post show.
It definitely looks much better.
Do I look much better?
I don't know about that. I would, yeah. My quick review, although I don't know, should we talk about it after?
Yeah, just do it now. What's your quick
fast review was, first time I've ever done Greg's hair. Was a little bit wet, which I wasn't prepared for. A blow dry, a little blowout would have helped, but he's got very nice
follicles.
Fine hair.
No, you know what? It's thicker than mine.
Really?
Yeah, and it's nice quality hair. Good stuff
texture.
to work with.
Yeah,
so I used
good stock, that Midwest
good
stock.
stock, man. I used a matte paste, and then we put in like glue for hairspray. Basically, is the way that I finished that off. So
Gotcha.
A little bit of my routine.
It's mold.
Excellent work.
Not
And
glue.
rounding out the group, you know him as the glue from Brazzers.com, Kevin Coelho.
No, that's not right.
No, that's not right. It's all right.
Interesting.
I made a little twitch.tv/FM3_ Andrea Renee, what's good, games. And then it says right there, Brazzers.com, Kevin. It's a weird one.
He pointed at nothing, folks.
It's, what are you
It really does say it. It says it right there.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Tim gave me his notes. Tim gave me his notes. I don't know. I mean, I already did them all.
On the show.
Tim Gettys has the day off, ladies and gentlemen, because guess what? All we've been doing all week long is playing the Division 2.
Yeah,
That's right, agents. We thought we'd bring together our strike team here to talk to you about it. But first, of course, let me tell you some housekeeping. This is the Kinda Funny Gamescast. Each and every week, we get together to talk about the video games we love. If you love that, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Get each and every episode early. So early you can watch us as we record it live. So early you can get it ad-free on Friday. Or if you have no money to give us, no big deal. You can get it for free. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every Monday morning. Remember, we're going to Kansas City Saturday, May 30th for the Kinda Funny World Tour. We will be doing a meetup at the Flying Saucer Draft Emporium. It is free. You don't need a badge to get in. However, if you want to buy a badge for Planet Comic-Con, we're doing a bunch of panels there. You can get the whole rundown on kindafunny.com/events, where you can also see the New York City meetup coming up on April 6th, also right around the corner. Today, I want to thank Patreon producers Scott Hardinger, DJ Kento, Casey Kern, Sancho West Gaming, James Hastings. And I also want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Movement and Skillshare, but we'll talk about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be us talking about the Division 2.
I was about to do it.
I know, I was seeing if I could get you. I was seeing if I could get you.
For sure.
Greg, fast note.
Yeah.
You meant March 30th for Kansas City, right?
What did I say?
May.
Yeah, March 30th. 100%. Yeah,
about.
it's right around the corner. I have been playing the Division until my eyes hurt every night. So I am
and
very
we're still gonna
tired.
do it.
And we are not stopping. We are not stopping.
That's good stuff.
Andrea Renee.
Yes, Greg.
You've had the Division since Monday when the servers went live.
Correct.
We've been playing the Gold Edition, everyone at the table.
I have the Ultimate Edition.
Early access.
I think I might actually too, because
Do I also have the Ultimate
I don't know.
And just to be clear, the code was provided by Ubisoft.
100%.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Take our opinions as you will, but it doesn't affect us at all.
No, like I've said before, I'm buying I'm buying mine for my friends. You know what I mean? Like the other one. Andrea, anyways, though.
Yes.
You've been playing this. The
disclaimer.
game will come out for everybody tonight, 12 o'clock midnight. What are your initial impressions of the Division 2?
Having a ton of fun. I'm very impressed by how steady the game has been up until our session last night.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I the day before it went live for everyone who pre-ordered and has the gold and the ultimate editions, I was playing and experienced only one crash. When I was in the middle of a mission, crashed to the dashboard, had to do the entire mission over again. Kind of a bummer, but it only happened once.
Was it like a game crash or a server disconnect boot?
No, the game crashed like to the dashboard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
All the way
like
to
the whole thing
got
just
it.
like
Were you
out.
playing in a squad with anyone else, or were you just
No, I was
by
playing
yourself?
solo. Yeah, and so it just pooped out. And that was the only problem I had until we were streaming with Fran last night,
I
and
see.
Greg and I had
Multiple
5
discs.
blue screens.
Yeah.
In like an hour-long
Oh,
period.
You were getting blue screens.
You were the only one who weren't.
I didn't
wasn't
know
you?
the game was crashing. I
Yeah.
thought you were getting a server disconnect.
No. We were
No.
getting it straight to the blue screen, and it's like, let me upload the problem, and it took forever to upload it.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that was exactly it. All of them, all of a sudden, like froze in the world. And I have an awesome clip of something else that happened. But they just dropped, and I was the only one remaining. And consistently, what, like 3?
It happened
Three times,
it
4
happened
times.
a
With
lot.
me
Yeah.
and you guys, it happened 3 times.
Yeah, and then I think it
was
happened again with
upwards of
Scott.
five
Right?
The positive side is when we got back into the game, it booted us directly back.
Right, we
into
went back
Fran.
Yeah.
right to where we left off. That was
It
great.
reconnected, yeah.
Right.
But that aside, I'm doing
That
top
aside-
level starters. What do you think? You had a great time? You're having a great time?
I'm really loving the way that they've changed the intro progression based off what I played in the original Division. It hooked me much earlier this time than
Yeah.
it did the first time around. I think the diversity of the story missions and how they've opened up a lot more things without it feeling overwhelming. Because
Sure.
sometimes Ubisoft games suffer from like map fatigue.
Sure, you look at the thing
right?
and there's a million things to do.
There's
What
like
do I
so
do?
many
Where do I
icons, you're
go?
like- exactly. And you're just like overwhelmed. So I think that they've really struck a nice balance so far.
Yeah.
I'm level 16 now
Yeah.
in the game, well, 15, and having a really great time with it. You can do a lot of this game solo. I think that's a big question
Sure.
that we get a lot is,
It won't.
can I play the Division by myself? And yes, you absolutely can.
Can.
We're going to get to all that. We're going to get to all
Yeah.
that. Fran, top of the order, top of the batting order. What
Fast
do you
overview.
think of Division 2? You've been playing since Monday. It's now Thursday our time.
Yeah, I know we're talking about a lot of stuff on the show, so I'll try to keep it short. My review is it is what I.
Oh,
had
you're
been
reviewing
saying
it?
and
We can
thought.
call this the
No,
Division 2
no
review?
more Fran's review of until I do it. No, but this is early review. We're 15, level 15 as well. Haven't
I'm
got
level
the end
15
game.
as well.
We're all the same.
a bunch of show-offs. No,
whatever,
I think I'm
14.
level like 12.
If
maybe
you weren't
11.
making this rack of lamb every night.
That's
Oh,
right.
it's good stuff.
Kevin takes amazing dinner breaks. So
Yeah.
I'm jealous of him.
I do it fast though.
Yeah, no, we're kidding.
But the short of it
Shoveling
is,
the food in there.
it is Division 2. It's quality of life improvement. It's a new world and it's beautiful. And the new level of detail in that world and
Yeah.
just sort of the way it feels is absolutely different. But it's mostly the game itself is like a quality of life, right? Like more abilities, new ways to earn stuff. It's a little cleaner. The progression's cleaner. There's a lot to do as well. Like you said, you don't just go through like, well, I cleared that, now what? There is so much going on the map and sort of more targeted too. It's like, dang, I really do want this muzzle for my 5.56, whatever. So let's go do this side mission
Yeah.
to get the blueprint. It's a lot more clear. So I feel like as far as we've made it, it's what I expected. If you liked Division 1 but wanted some quality of life, that's what I think you're going to be like, this is smooth, man. It feels good, and I'm definitely feeling an addiction. I want to get back
Sure.
into the world, and I know we'll talk about
Kevin, what do you think of Division 2?
So I didn't play much of Division 1. We
Right,
played
yeah,
a
I think
little bit.
you're the one who's played least at the table, yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of Division 1.
Right. We played a little bit. Then I tried to get back in, played with Andrea, and at the time she was like a level 17 and I was like level 10.
Yeah.
And we like started doing a mission, and it was
Yeah,
not fun for me to play. The
scaling was not
Yeah.
friendly at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they've really fixed that this time around. But we haven't. yet
Save it.
Yeah.
We're going to get to all that.
But-
what do you think, though? And I know this. I'm not trying to stop organic
Yeah.
conversation.
I've been having an amazing time. It
Yeah.
is so much fun, and they've done things to change the game where now wandering around and exploring the world
Yeah.
is so much more fun and feels extremely rewarding.
Right.
I'm
There's
getting
loot everywhere.
very similar to like Assassin's Creed Odyssey vibes,
Yeah.
where it's like I want to keep playing and I want to keep just walking around like doing random little things because I feel like it's beneficial to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know this will sound ridiculous because this is, I mean, last year at the end, right? What's your most anticipated game of the year? I said Division 2, and obviously I was a big Division 1 fan. I'm floored by how much I enjoy this game because I knew, oh man, I loved the Division. I platinumed the Division. I'm excited for Division 2, but I thought for sure they would fuck something up, or I wouldn't like some aspect of it, or I could see a part where I'm not playing it. You know what I mean? Because like even
like you'd wear out or
with
whatever.
Anthem, there was the thing of like, this is fun for now. I'll eventually stop. You know, when I was in Fallout, I'm like, I'm not going to be here forever. Destiny 2, I platinumed it. I'm not going to come back to it. That's not me. Whereas this one does feel like, we were talking about this last night or this morning, Kevin, where we were like, this feels like a game we will actually come back to. This feels like
Yesterday when there was a point where just you and I were playing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that once we're done putting 5 hours a night into
Yeah.
this, we will be able to like come back to it. The opposite of Monster Hunter, where I
That's
knew when
exactly
we were done
right,
with Monster
right.
Hunter, we'd be done.
It'd be
But
too hard to jump back
yeah,
in.
this feels like I can just pick it up and grab it and go.
Yeah, Fran,
Again,
you brought up quality of life, right? Like and I feel like that's what they've done here is like they talked about everything they learned with Division 1, everything they updated with Division 1, and how they're going to put that in Division 2, and I think they've knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead.
I'm curious, what is it that appeals to you most about Division with all the these other games out there?
Sure.
Destiny didn't quite do it, Anthem didn't quite do it, etc.
For me, it's what I've always talked about, right? Space is dumb. We all know it. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. But like, for me, the more I can be grounded in a story or world, that's what works for me. So being in real world locations, in quotes, obviously, it's a video
real
game.
Character.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
it's just pretty close to 1-to-1 for DC.
Well, sure, but I mean also, being a,
gritty.
I'm getting shot, I'm getting whatever. But I mean, like, I'm running around with guns. I'm in our world. Like that appeals to me. The idea of being a hero, not even a superhero, right? Just being a hero, that you're, the Division thing is that they're going to stand for all this, right? That they're the last hope kind of thing. We all look to them. I love that narrative thread of the game of, it's what we joke around about last night we were playing, but when we are running and we're going to a mission, but something's happening, like remember Scott Lowe?
Save DC.
Scott Lowe's like, we're like, you want to do it? Scott Lowe's like, we're here to save DC. And it's like, we are here to save, and like that really always speaks to me. And I love that third person perspective. I do love cover-based shooter mechanics, right? Because like, we just did a party mode for a first person shooter, arena first person shooter game.
Real
and
cool.
it's just like, I'm so bad at that. I'm so bad at PvP. Like that's just not what I am.
Yeah.
Whereas in Division PvE, third person, that's where I'm at home, right? It is what I love about third person action games where I'm like, okay, I can run around and be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we talking about the solo play
Now
versus...
go everything. Now just get into whatever you want to do. I just wanted
that was
that
my
top
other
level.
related question for you, though, is that we're having a lot of discussions and questions on stream about it, and just between us. But solo play, the scaling, there's something going on there, so I think that's part of this discussion. But putting that aside for a second, would you play this game alone, Greg?
100%.
Really, the whole thing you'd play alone?
Honestly, I think it's
with matchmaking or without.
Without. I played a lot of Division alone when you wouldn't be online. I'd run through and do stuff. And even with what I've noticed with Division 2 is that even if I'm the higher level and you join on me, the missions get harder.
Much harder.
And it's not, that's cool. Like last night we were getting our heads kicked in for a little bit and it was fun, right? Because it was, all right, fuck, this isn't impossible. Yeah, how do we do this? Where do we put down things? What do we do? Even as a player right now in Division 2, when I'm waiting for you guys to finish something up and come online, I'll go run a mission by myself and feel pretty easy. Like that was pretty easy to go through and do it.
Yeah.
Whereas coming back, then it gets harder. It's when you get to the end game that's going to be impossible.
Yeah, what I really love about what they've done with the new skills, as Fran was mentioning, they've expanded the skills that they're offering in the Division 2, is that when you do run into a wall where we come up against a group of enemies that really make us think about what kind of strategy we want to go into, it reminds you that, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be using everything in my arsenal. I'm supposed to be using both types of weapons, both types of skills. I love that they unlocked both of the skills in the main game, because when we were playing in the beta, you had to pay to unlock your second skill slot. I'm glad they got rid of that and just opened it up, because you definitely want 2 skills when you're running in. I wish it was easier to hot swap them, quite frankly, but I guess they have to give you a little bit of a penalty for that. But I really like how they make all of that complement each other. So when we're rolling as a 4-person squad, we can talk about okay, who's got healing, who's got suppression.
So to bring somebody up to speed, if you're just a Kind of Funny Gamescast person walking in, right? What you're talking about, of course, is the skills of it, where you have on your R1, L1, you've assigned out whether it be a turret, whether it be a grenade that goes and seeks people, whether it be the roly-poly, right? The healing drones,
grenade, right? Yeah.
There's all these different ones, and so you're 100% correct. And same thing with the weapon slots of having 2 of those. I think it's easy to be rolling along with everybody, to be helping out a friend who's lower level or whatever, and not be thinking about it. But then we get to these moments where, we are challenged by the game, and it is like, well, hold on, I'm going to swap off the grenade function, instead put on a healing drone. That way I can take care of it when this guy comes. I'll know to play that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, like how Fran was weakening armor for some of the heavies, and he would call out when he was using his skill, and so we could focus fire on specific people. It really brings in that squad-based element that games like Ghost Recon really excelled at, and I think that it makes it really fun to play with people. But I agree that I also had a good time playing solo.
It was a manufactured segue, is why I asked that.
Hey!
I wanted to say it is a niche solo experience, and I absolutely, what I do like when I'm solo is there's no pressure to loot. There's no pressure to go back to DC, and it's what all these games struggle from. It's like, guys, And especially, I'm like streaming. You guys are waiting. The servers are shutting down 2 hours, and I'm trying to like destroy like green loot that's like 3 levels below me, and I'm an idiot, and I can't let go without reading the stats. So as a solo experience, putting that aside, there's these moments where you need to sort of take that break, do your inventory cleanup, all that. Maybe look around for some cell phones. But see, outside of that, I absolutely think it's a niche experience. I'm making a bet. You know, I don't know how the community is going to feel, but it scales, it's pretty tough solo. And so that's why I say it's niche. For me, if you want to go in and be that hero, and you're just like, I got it all. But that mission's going to take you like a while.
Sure.
And it's a huge difference when you're getting flanked the way we were last night.
Right.
It's absolutely, in my opinion, the game is designed for the friend game, and that's what we call
Absolutely.
it.
100%. I'm not arguing
You're gonna
that.
feel it. No, yeah.
I think, don't get me wrong, I think even though the missions get harder when you play with other people or stuff, I think that is definitely the way to play it. It's way cooler to do that. Even when we opened up the clan yesterday, right,
Yeah.
to have everybody in there.
Yeah.
A random clan member, kind of funny best friend,
Yeah.
joined on me, right? And we just ran around and did stuff. And it was like, even that, not talking to him on a microphone, it was fun. I had more
yeah.
fun
Well,
than that.
When he joined on, I think he was level 19.
Yeah.
And it made things like.
Oh, I wasn't even talking. There was a different friend before.
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we had someone join
ahead.
on who was significantly higher.
Right,
At that
yeah,
point,
yeah.
we were all level 12
Yeah.
or 10.
Oh, that's who I was talking
And
about.
Oh, my
when
apologies.
he joined on, there was a point where we had to, unfortunately, come to the decision of
That
like,
is the thing
we
too.
got to boot this kid.
And I'm worried, like,
Yeah.
scaling for me still is this question of
Yeah.
how exactly does it work, right? Because when that guy, the 19, did join,
Yeah.
that mission went from, oh man, we fucked that up to, holy shit, this is impossible.
Yeah.
Because it was the gold was hitting us in one shot, pretty
Right.
much.
And it is confusing because so you do get, it's called the co-op buff, and you see a little meter. It's like you've all been, if a 19 joins you and you're say a 10, everybody's going to be 18, I believe.
Yeah.
Below them, one level below, but you get a co-op buff. But like you're still feeling that one level below quite a bit. So like,
Yeah.
I think the intention is to keep the scale. It's like you're not exact to their level, but you're close. I actually personally think they're going to need to tune it because it feels a little far away.
It feels
In the-
wide,
times,
wide, yeah.
It feels like a penalty. And that was my point about solo play. It seems designed for, or it is, frankly, the AI, the flanks, everything is designed for a squad, and I believe that's the right way to play it. So I would think twice if you want to play it solo. But some of you might prefer it, and I talked to a few of those people. They were like, I love being in the world alone, and just, you're a hero.
It would be nice if they would provide an option for people who are low level to scale up if they're ready for the challenge, or for people who are high level that want to play with their friends to scale down.
Like matchmaking, you
And,
mean?
yeah, and say like, hey, I'm not here to get high end rewards. I'm here to help, run you through the mission.
Oh, I see.
And so you could lower down instead of having to have the people on the other end move up.
Yeah.
So you would have the option to forego rewards in order to help lower level people.
That's my big concern because I got Poe a copy. I want to play with Poe, but Poe doesn't play games like we do, right? Like, even though I was like, you want to play Division 9? He's like, oh, let me start installing it. I'm like, oh, no. And so like when he does finally get in there and I'm level, 18 by that point? I'm 15 now. I assume this weekend, 18, 19, 20. Like,
You're going to be best 20.
is that going to even be able to help him?
You'll be 30 by the end of the weekend.
Well, I know that. By the end of the week. Come on, I know by the end of the weekend, guys. I'm canceling plans on the weekend to play more. You
Greg, would you consider creating a new character so you
hate
can
that
start
shit.
that? I know, but
I
like,
hate that shit. I remember back in the day doing that with Christine, where I had a character I had to run with her because it was broken.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like as soon as she got to the right level, I was like, see this character, never playing it again, bring in my main.
Don't have to do that though. Like literally, a level 2 can jump in your game and play. They're not
Sure,
gonna have
but
all
he's
the
not going to have
abilities.
fun, right?
yeah, that's the thing.
Like we didn't have fun with that 19 yesterday. Imagine what it's going to be like for Poe to jump in, and it's going to be I'm 16 and he's 1.
But that's my point. I think it has to do with the skin because at the end of the day, you have, hopefully, as long as you have your 2 weapon slots, you have a couple guns.
Yeah.
You can duck and cover and play it safe. It's how hard those bullets are hitting you, and they are hitting you. I guess my point there was whether you're level 2 or 12, and we don't know exactly how it works, and you're jumping into a 19 game and you're getting that buff, you're all supposed to be the same at one level below and be feeling it the same. What you don't have are all the abilities, so you might not have the healing drone. All those things do matter, and even like your gun recoil, you're gonna miss
dude,
shots.
yeah.
Well, and the perk system, all the passive perks that you're unlocking is really, I think, where people are going to feel it. And that has to do with all the attachments you can get for your guns, the how many armor packs you can carry, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of things that work. And I hope that Massive takes a look at the feedback and maybe is a little bit more transparent with how that scaling system works.
the biggest problem I'm having with the scaling, it's I don't think it's scaling the weapons up. So if I'm shooting someone with like a level 7 gun, but I'm in a level 12 thing, it just doesn't feel like I'm doing any damage. Like I'm used to when we do, and we're all level 12, I'm used to knowing this gun is going to take out this much, and then when I go shoot and it's not moving
Taking out anything,
at all. That's my biggest problem, and I think that like that's the problem you're gonna have with Poe is he's gonna come join you. And he's just going to be like, well,
nothing I'm doing matters.
I'm just kind of hanging around trying not to die. And that's never fun.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the cooler thing, and I don't know how I would do this, but to push him through and then go into the dark zone. Because, right, the dark zone does negate everything, right? You're all at the same...
Neutral.
Yeah, exactly. You all start from the same square in terms of what you're going in there with and balances you that way. And I feel like that might be a better way to play with him and people who are behind to catch up.
Yeah, but they need to look at scale. But one thing I would point out is like this is mid game, early and mid game, and so you kind of look at it that way too. Not that I prefer. There's some with the scaling that could be touched up, absolutely, but it is the mid game. So eventually you hit 30, and it kind of doesn't matter anymore. So it really is like that first. I don't know if it's going to take us 40 hours or whatever, but then you're on the end game.
What their article, I think I've seen quotes of 30 to 40 hours to get to 30.
But then it won't matter as long as you make it to the end game. But I think there will be a lot of people that maybe they're staying around 15 to 20 for a while because they don't have a lot of time. And for those people, I think that's where that scaling is going to be a tough one. So we'll see if they touch it up. Yeah. Where else do we want to move?
I would love to.
No, I want to chime in.
We haven't done Dark Zone yet either, right? We should mention.
I went and did the intro mission and stuff.
I did the intro mission
Oh,
too.
you did you?
Yeah.
When was
Hey,
that?
man, probably when you were selling
joined
off
him.
fucking things for an hour and a half. I don't know what your problem is. Andy writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Actually, it's my Twitter. How does the Division 2 cater to players like myself who only have a few hours per week to play games? This kind of speaks into what you're talking about, right? With scaling of getting to that 15, 20 level and being around there for a while.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think this game works best if you've got a like dedicated squad, like a couple people that are that have a similar schedule to you. And I know that like that requires a little bit of planning, but like if you're doing that and you're all scaling up together, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think you're going to be able to find those people, right? And I think, we've talked about it before with games as a service and them being like, the best ones do it as a buffet where you show up, right? Or a theme park, I think it was actually. I forget who said this on one of the shows. A theme park, right? Where you show up and it's like, today I want to ride the water slides, or I want to go do this, or I want to go around. It's a small world. And that's what Division strikes me as in a lot of ways, right? Where it is, when Fran does want to go, dial into these stats and worry about what he's doing and all these everything. I can be like, all right, cool. I'm just going to pick up Shade Tech for a while, or I'm going to go do this side mission, or I'm going to look into my projects, right? You talked about quality of life. I feel everything is at a glance. You know what you can do, what you should do, and what you want to do, and you can figure out where to go all of a sudden.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Like I said, all the missions, and they had a little bit of it before, but it's going to tell you potential loot drops. Hey, I can get a blue something from the boss. I can get a mod blueprint. I can get all sorts of stuff. Oh, if you need skill tech or shade tech or whatever, you know exactly where to get it.
They brought the loot to the looter shooter, which is
and there's a lot of loot.
Yeah, and we were talking about this on What's Good and how.
I'm sorry, what was that? What's
that? What's Good Games.
Where can I get that?
You can get that at what'sgoodgames.com/podcast.
Gotcha.
So. Thanks, Greg. It always throws me off a little bit. We were talking about, because obviously this, Gearbox has been teasing Borderlands, and so we're talking about how Borderlands is clearly like the king of the looter shooter mountain or whatever, and how a lot of games that use this term looter shooter aren't actually giving you loot worth seeking after. And I think the Division really stepped up their game from the first time, or for the first game, and make it worth chasing. And I think that's really exciting, and everything that Fran's detailing about how they lay it out in the menus as to how you go about getting that loot. Not only is it like you want to stop at every duffel bag and suitcase that you find in the world.
And there are so many this time around. Every nook and cranny of DC has something out there to totally distract you.
Everyone just left their suitcases on the streets of DC.
Run! You had to. Pandemic.
But they also give you specific quests and specific missions to chase for the loot that you want, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They even have, don't they have a recommended system? You go in your progression, it's like, we recommend you do this. You can do whatever you want, but they actually do try to guide you.
If you're looking for a critical path, if you're looking to actually get the most out of your time right now, go do this,
Yeah.
But the loot, it is such a amazing, great feeling, right? And I understand that I'm getting close to a hornet's nest here. Let me just speak, all right?
Okay.
Where I enjoy Anthem, right? I enjoyed Anthem when we were playing it. I was right there with Fran, 6 to 7, wherever, right? That thing, right? But it was that thing I said at the time, like, I'm not the games as a service person. I'm enjoying this, but I don't think I'm the end-all, be-all of it. Playing this one, it is such a different feeling where I see the chasm where people are like, well, Anthem's not even doing the looter shooter thing the way people expect or want. And I was like, oh, right, I'm having fun as an Iron Man thing, teaming up with people, going and playing stuff, right? This is such a different feeling now of, oh, a blue, oh, open this thing, a purple, and you're like, oh, I'm like, I'm so excited to finish it, to go around and get everything and have, even though Fran takes it too far and wastes way too much of our time going through his loot. I do the same thing at the end of the mission where I do look through and it's like, all right, favorite junk, you know, I want to sit there and balance and go.
You have to be aggressive about deconstructing your inventory. You just do, Fran. This isn't like Destiny where you can vault a bunch of stuff. You don't want to put a bunch of stuff in your stash. You're going to get something better. Just start dismantling everything.
It just doesn't matter yet.
Not totally
It just doesn't matter yet, Fran.
I mean, we're not going to go down that road. But what I will say is there is that enjoyment, and I'm not even the craziest of types. It's that honestly, it's true. Like there are people who get so deep into these stats, they're going to go to the shooting range, which by the way has some really cool DPS readouts. You can test area of effect, you can test range. It's really well done. I forget if they made any of those improvements in the first one, but this one's feeling pretty solid overall. But there's people that go really far. But that is what I like about Division. As much as you're just ducking and covering behind a brick wall, shooting an enemy that seems to be a brick wall, and it takes forever to chip away at them, it is very tactical and strategic. And so, when you go through your loot, you have the option. And by the way, this is where like you can do it or not, but you can go in and you're like, oh, there's a 10% buff health on kill. I didn't even have that on another one, which by the way, it was one thing I started to notice. I was like, oh, health on kill. Yeah, because that is a really great buff and other little things.
I'm with you of like, there's like, you know, if you have all the same,
if
you have the same brand of all stuff, right? So it's like when I started noticing I was getting multiple brands, I started stashing those and I'm like, these are blues and they're not going to matter, but I can't just deconstruct them. I need to keep it around.
Yeah, and like my point is mid game, do you care enough about maybe getting a 15% skill power buff or whatever? And by the way, you should, because that makes you more powerful. But the reality is you can probably run the mission with a team and it's not like the biggest of deal, but it's there if you want it. And like that is where I think they did a really good job with you said they brought the loot to a looter shooter, and there's like a ton of stats and stuff. Early game, there's sets, there's tons of different sets.
Well, let's talk about the stats for a second. The one kind of gripe I have about the stats so far is the balance that they've brought into the stats. Because a lot of times when you're looking at weapons, you get to decide play style stats. Like, do I want a reload buff? Do I want, a damage buff? Do I want, like a stability buff?
I know what you're going to
But instead, they're offering those, but then they're giving you a penalty buff to balance it out. And that part kind of bothers me a little bit. It takes away from the fantasy of being this really powerful agent who's coming in and has like these weird tech drones and all these things at your disposal, and it almost feels like it's punitive just for the sake of being punitive, and I kind of don't like that.
So here's my question though: is does that start to lessen in the end game? Because normally, here's a very specific example.
Sure, because I was going to say, I have this one buff that I keep getting that's like a 15% reload buff, but then it's like I get 10 or 15 fewer bullets in the magazine.
There you go. So your mag's smaller, but you get a faster reload. And so I agree with you in the mid-game. That was the first thing I went to apply a 20% stability buff to my assault rifle. I'm like, let's go, because this thing, especially on PlayStation, we're playing on, which I love it. It looks great.
Don't you knock PlayStation?
Oh my God, controller play, like it's so hard to control that recoil.
What it requires is skill, something you lost when you went to the PC.
If you're shooting, start aiming down a little bit to counter that.
Exactly. Be ready for it. It's like real life.
Thank you for the lesson. But the point is, recoil is no joke when you're on controller. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get 20% buff. That's a big deal. It's a 1/5 increase, right? Okay, I'm going to be all over this. But then I look and I'm like, wait, brings accuracy down like 10%. So I was like, well, I definitely want it because I think I can control the accuracy.
Cut to Fran, beautiful mind on his window with a Sharpie, like writing out all this stuff.
It's like, I always use the Charlie from Mitzvah. I'm like, it's the crazy conspiracy board. That's what's going on back at HQ with me. It's just a fire. But anyway, early game, I'm wondering, is this positive, negative system just there, and then it starts to go away in the end game? Because normally, and what I'd say is what you'd want to see is like a crazy, let's say you get 50% stability, but you're going to lose 15% accuracy. That's something I can start to think about. But right now, they're so you're like, it feels like it's even Steven in a lot of cases that it doesn't feel good.
When you say even Steven, I think what my perspective on that is that it feels like it's not worth it at all to apply these mods to the weapons because the buff I'm getting doesn't outweigh the drag.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I actually got the same the buff you were talking about with the I can't remember. It was one of those really big saw-looking guns where it's got 100 rounds. So it cut me down to 85.
LMG maybe or something.
Yeah, light machine gun, yeah.
It cut me down to 85, and honestly, like, I don't know that I noticed that. I do, however, notice how long the reload takes, and it did seem significantly
I feel like that's what.
better.
So again, mods to bring these up. Obviously, you know what a mod is for a gun. What they changed here that I think is awesome, right, is that when you go into your perks system, you have the skills that you're unlocking, which are the drones, the grenades, whatever. Then there's a perk system that you invest the shade tech points in. That'll give you more carrying capacity. A bigger
If you
backpack.
deconstruct, you might get more materials.
Right. But what's different than the division Fran and I grew up on is the idea that you go in there, right, and you can get these mods there that are permanent. Like you just have them at your disposal for once you
so
get them for
good
all
that
your
they did
guns,
this.
right? And so when I get a gun I like, I do jump in there with my mods and go, okay, well, what does this do? What does that do? Trade out the different scopes, get it to what I like. And I have noticed, obviously, that this is going to drop accuracy or stability or something like this. But the ones that I'm investing the way I want to are making it a better gun, right? My assault rifles feel better because of it.
Man, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and making those changes on a gun and then doing it to another gun. So adding a scope, adding the same scope to like 3 guns.
Sure.
Not having to go in, there and remove the
Yeah.
stuff.
Quality of life
is so
huge.
much
Totally,
better.
because that
God.
sucked in Division 1 of like, I want to deconstruct this, better go in and strip everything. Like, it sounds so small, but as much loot that turns over so fast
Oh
in
my
these
God.
games, right?
It was way too much upkeep. Now there are some mods that are only, I think it's for your regular gear.
Your regular
stuff.
gear, yeah. If you put it
That,
on your backpack or your
you
chest,
can't just
or,
use every. You got to take it off one and put it on the other.
But the game again, I noticed I didn't pay attention to that at first. I was like, oh, I got a gear slot or mods for my gear. Started modding my gear, and then when I had junked some old stuff, went to delete, and it was like, whoa, hold on a second, like
got a mod
you're
on
about to delete a mod, and I was like, oh, I've done it. I was easy to
warns
find
you.
of like I've been doing it forever with my guns, and the guns don't matter. But then I did one gear
the
piece.
gear
Wait a
does,
second,
yeah.
went in there, and popped it off.
So I do want to bring up an important counterpoint here, though, and like we're only in the mid game. There is a lot going on in the
Again,
game.
to bring it up, so somebody who's just along for the ride because they like kind of funny. Remember, we're all about level 15, 16 for Andrew, and 12 for a little Kev dog. And level cap is 30, but then of course world tiers and gear score, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But when
Yeah.
we're talking about mid game, not end game, that's what we're talking about. We're
Yes.
midway through to get to the end game.
That's true. It's so funny that you bring that up because it happened on the stream last night. When I say mid game, I'm talking about end game and mid game, but beyond the end game, there's more to that.
And somebody
So
was
for
like,
me,
well, you're almost halfway done
I'm
with the
not
game. You're
halfway
like,
done
no,
with
no,
the
no.
game.
No,
I'm
no.
saying I'm halfway to the end game, which is a mid-game experience in terms of the loot. Anyway, I wanted to bring up the important counterpoint, which we haven't had a chance to really dig into and sit down with. But I think the intention, if we really get into it and you pull the, Charlie at the conspiracy board, is like, okay, wait, I just added this stability here, but wait, I also need to counter that by putting this other mod on. And what it's trying to do is get you to plus minus, and by the way, it does have a stat loadout, a readout that is, right? You can actually go to a screen that has all your stats so you can see sort of the finality. So I think it's really trying to get you to do a lot of upkeep and plus minus if you want to min-max
Yeah,
like
if you
that.
want to, yeah, exactly.
And meaning, I think there is the early mods we're getting, Andrea. I think they're just like they're not great, and so you have to make that choice. My hope is that as you go, you start to get, frankly, just some good mods that make you amazing. And certainly, if they're going to do this whole positive negative thing, that it's got to be an amazing mod. But we're a little early. But I think it's an important counterpoint. I feel like there'd be a ton of comments that are like, "Oh, you didn't know you were supposed to."
No, totally.
You really have to spend a ton of time and balance.
And part
that
of this,
stuff
of course, is wading into it, right? Like, the game was built, according to Massive, and I believe him, and Julie and everybody, that this was built with the end game as the game, and what's in mind, right? So right now we are, even though it sounds shitty to say, playing one giant tutorial for that. And so you are wading into it and learning new things in the same way, right, of unlocking your second skill is a big deal because but they don't want you to rush through the first skill. They want you to understand how to use it, start thinking about what you want next, move that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty standard for RPGs in general, is that you spend the first 20 to 30 hours of a 100-hour experience just learning what kind of gear you like, what kind of play style you want to do, and then just junking a lot of your gear. And I think that is a pretty standard game mechanic.
Yeah.
And the way that they're doing it here, I think what's interesting about it is that it, as Fran was discussing, it allows people who want to get really nerdy about the numbers and about the gear score to do that, but you can also just really
you
not
can
care
also
if you
just
don't
play.
want to.
That's how I'm playing. I'm not caring about all that stuff. I'm just putting on Like I'm reading, oh, it's gonna cut down on my reload time. Great, that's what I'm putting on.
If the game shouts that, right? There's big green arrows to show you that it's more damage or whatever, and like then you can get into it's this much, this much damage, but this how much time for reload, and my rounds per minute, and yada yada yada. But like if you just want to be more powerful in that moment, you know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
On a shot by shot basis.
It is an important point to make. You don't have to go that far. I think that is where we started this conversation. It's like if you want to do it, it's there, and that's what I've always loved about Division. And even then, I didn't get too deep into it. But now that I've been playing these types of games for many years, I am into it, and I'm excited. I'm excited to go into that shooting range and see like the reload, buff when you get it fast enough, like how much DPS you can do on certain things, and it's a lot of fun just doing that, feeling powerful in the world.
In the world, I think is something that we haven't touched on. We're talking about mechanics so much and things and how you're playing. I'm so impressed with the world. For me in particular, right? I spent a summer out in DC during college doing an internship. And I loved it. It was great. I was out there partying, having a good time. But when they announced, like, I loved New York so much in Division 1 that when they were like, oh, cool, now the next one's going to be in DC, I was like, it seems like a weird pick, but okay. I can't get over what a great job. We've talked about the looping everywhere, the fact that there's so much stuff on the map. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But the interiors and the levels they've built, right? We did the American History Museum back to back with the Air and Space Museum. And both of those were like I was in there going through, and like there's minor spoilers for set pieces in here. They're not the end of the world.
They're not really.
But if you've been to these museums, they exist in the real world.
But it's just that thing of like, I never realized when I was playing through New York how much of it was, okay, I'm in the streets of New York, I'm in a subway, I'm in a building, I'm in a construction site.
Yeah. Right.
And so to get into this and have it be, all right, cool, now I'm in Vietnam because I'm in the American History Museum in the Vietnam exhibit that's playing the audio sound of a jungle, and like and it's like, this is so brilliant. I'm having a fight in a planetarium while the planetarium presentation is going on. It was like, Massive must have had so much fun coming up with this and being like, cool, the gloves are off. How can we vary our environments and keep people on their toes?
It was really fascinating getting to talk to the Massive team when we did that Washington, D.C. tour that Ubisoft invited us to go out and do, and getting to speak with, so Chad Chatterton is one of the lead environmental
You made
artists.
that up. You forgot his name.
No,
Just
that's actually his name, I swear to God.
Kevin Keverton was there too.
And he was talking about the research trips that they did and how he took thousands of photos and made this catalog system so that they could get not only the details of these really iconic locations like the Air and Space Museum, like the American History Museum, but also to get some of the more environmental storytelling pieces, like what do all the trash cans on the city of DC look like? What do the parking garage signs look like? They really wanted to make it authentic. And I also got to speak with Chloe Hamoud, who's the lead IP researcher, and talking to her about how they really wanted to emphasize what actually happens in a crisis in DC by talking to the agencies who are on the ground in Washington to kind of blend what the actual American government response would be with, of course, the fictional world of Tom Clancy and how they blend that together. And they have so far really nailed it, and the environmental design of these levels, the level design is just so unique, and it makes it have so much more personality than the first Division had. Like you said, New York is cool, but we've seen New York in so many video games and so many movies. Not to say that New York is boring, because of course it's one of the best cities in the world, but I really like how they took the uniqueness of Washington, D.C. and really made it approachable and fun to play in.
And that apply. I mean, Kevin was bringing this up last night when we were running somewhere, and he just was like, "Oh, you can go in here and you can do this." Like I remember in the original Division, I can go in this building. That was I knew that there was going to be stuff in there because I could actually go. There's so few apartment complexes to go in, and I remember that this is going to sound weird, but I remember that hallway that all the apartments had when you got in there. Like every apartment looked and felt the same, whereas this one we're busting into places and finding the doors that have the giant locks on them and shooting the locks and going in and scavenging, and you don't know what you're going to find, but you think if you go over there, you're going to get something cool.
And that's part of the world is so satisfying to explore. Yeah. Where it's just I feel like every time I go out and every time I get out of the White House, I do the same little hostage mission, and then I go in a different direction, and it feels totally new. And
and that was the thing last night of when we were all jumping on and off and getting. I think Fran jumped on. He's like, "All right, what are we doing?" And I was like, "All right, cool. I have a tour set up. We're gonna do this side mission. We're gonna go to this side mission. We're gonna go down south and do this story mission. Then we're gonna." And it was like,
I need it
again. It's like this again to use it again, a buffet of what do we feel like doing? Well, there's 2 side missions on the way to the main mission. There's a safe house over there I haven't unlocked. We can get there. Let alone just the random people you run into. And I do understand that there'll be complaints of like you're just trying to get from point A to point B and you have to deal with people, but it's even so much quicker to deal with them than try to get around them and then be running as they shoot you in the back.
Yeah.
It's happened to me a lot.
All those games, Red Dead's like it, Far Cry's like that, Anthem's like that, whatever. It's just sort of a staple in these because guess what? If they're not there, there's nothing to do in between.
Yeah.
But
it makes
overall,
it makes the world feel real. Sorry.
Yeah, it does. No, but meaning there is stuff there. I think that the mission design that like we were talking about, the side quest, that's what got most of the attention. You're not going to run into a big encounter in the middle of the street that's going to blow your mind, but like it's a fun little shootout if you want it. And once you get powerful enough, you can kind of skirt past it.
Well, yeah, and then you can also stealth past it. There's been plenty of times I see the dotted red and I'm like, oh, there they are. Yeah. The dotted red means they don't know I'm here yet. So if I get low and I wait for them to walk by.
You make a good point. You probably need to treat it a little more realistically and do that. I don't have the patience for it. I'm like, whatever.
You just run straight by them.
Whatever.
The stealth options in this game are lacking, to say the least.
Oh yeah,
it's just
getting to cover and let them pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's not designed that way. So it's just too much patience for him. Like I'd either kill them or run by them and take a couple shots in the butt.
You're fine.
We have to save DC too. Come on, guys.
But I did want to like chime in and
please do.
Just agree on the level of attention. There's a big difference. You can feel it in the level design, the mission design, this variety of you go through some things like you pointed out a couple cool missions that we stumbled onto. I was like, wow, like it feels so original and different than just being in an apartment hallway, which is what the first one suffered from. And there's a big difference.
And even, I think there was a control point we did, or a propaganda machine yesterday where we were running around and we were done, and I think you had found an echo. We went over and got it, and then I was doubling back to show you. And it was one of those things where I was running and I looked down, I'm like, oh, there's a bunch of body bags here, which were in Division 1, as you remember. I remember I'd taken a lot of photos of the one thing, but we were on a catwalk at that time, whereas this one, we're surrounded by them. You can walk over them, which sounds weird, but I'm just saying that the environments aren't always the same blown out hole. Last night, the mission we struggled with, right, where we needed to come up with, was a bunch of train cars off the rails that we had to keep, going in and out of. And it was like, this is a really cool setup again, where it's not just a basic square we're fighting in. It is different terrains, different entry points. How are we going to do this? How are we going to balance it?
And what oh, sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just I did have some issues though walking around that terrain, because I found like there were a lot of points where it's like, why can't I walk past this?
Sure.
Oh, so you have to climb, and it's like, interesting.
Yeah, that's maybe a good one to hit on.
What,
I don't know
the vaulting? Oh yeah, just to like put a pin in this, and we're gonna obviously see more as we unlock more of the map of Washington D.C. But another thing that the team was talking to me about is how they really wanted to section off specific districts of D.C. to say this is what you can expect to happen in this district, and this district has a different thing. Like for example, there's a section like where the river is, and like this is the district where they quarantine sick people, so you're gonna see a lot more bodies in this section. And this section over here is where all of the military setup, supply routes, you're going to see a lot more like supply pickups over here. And I think that that's them taking the design of the open world a step further than they had in the original Division, and makes it feel like it's actually a real place that's not just copy and paste.
Yeah.
And I think that it absolutely shows that they took the time to do that.
And in the same vein, I feel like the enemies feel varied. I know when I'm fighting a True Sun versus a hyena versus the group I don't even know, but all of a sudden a guy had a fucking chainsaw last night. I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, where did I just
not run into that?
I've clearly run down a different street and into a different area I haven't been before, and there's a new gang there. But like the way the hyenas fight is, so we're just a street gang. We're gonna run at you a lot of times and try to flank you. Whereas the True Sons fight like we are the militia. Like they think they're the shit, right? And it's this weird balance of like making it all feel unique.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot more to say, I think, about AI.
Fucking say it, man. You got it, bro.
I still feel like, although they did a good job with it, that the enemy design and stuff, because it's rooted in the world of Tom Clancy, is one of the biggest things that the Division suffers from, because it is gritty and real. So, like, to be fair, well, how do you keep it grounded in that? And then, like, what they do is they put, a firecracker on the back of someone. Effectively, it's their, pack, and you can explode it. It's electric. Maybe it's gas, whatever, and that's their weak spot, which actually kind of makes sense.
And the big gold guys, like, right, we know to shoot off their armor, and then it reveals them, and they take more damage. That way, it's visualized.
But I do think that you're right, that the AI suffers from a little bit of sameness because of exactly the reasons you're talking about. But even the gold bar, like the heavy enemies, we saw probably 3 or 4 different types of gold bars just in our play session last night.
The introduction of the mortar guy last night was like, oh man, there are still people to find, right? Yeah, and it changed the way we played and how we had to take care of each other.
And it wasn't even a gold bar enemy up there.
Yeah,
it's
just a purple.
The fact that people do go prone this time around, like they've done a lot to their AI, but I do agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still that we're fighting people over and over.
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up though, because there is a lot of, again, quality of life improvement from Division 1. It's like when one of the enemies used one of the new abilities, the like foam chem launcher.
Oh yeah, I forgot we ran into that guy last night too.
Yeah, and like they're using your abilities. We know that the Black Tusk, especially once we get there in the end game, they're gonna start doing stuff like that where you're like, dang, now I'm fighting fire with fire. But that happened even again in the mid game around level 15 for me, and I really enjoy that. I'm like, all right, we're starting to see variety already very early. Like the mortar showed up, like
the girls with the RC cars.
Yeah, I was about to say, we got those bombs very early.
Yeah, that was
I want to say
on,
like mission level like 5 or 7, they started rolling at us, and at first I was like, "The hell's going?" Boom, and it's like, "Oh shit!"
Totally, and there's a lot of different types. So I don't want to take away from the fact that in the world it's rooted in, that we're seeing quality of life improvement, we're seeing the variety. I like it, like sometimes too, like when some of those crazy hyenas run at you, like all spiced up, they're coming at you with the baton. Yeah, they're so. All the enemy types are given, I call it a...
personality.
Yeah, like a slight tweak in their personality. An archetype, that's it. So if the hyenas with the batons are running at you, they're just going to not stop. And they're going to beat you over the head. And if they get a hold of you, you're in big trouble.
And I appreciate a lot of them do jockey for position. Not the hyena, not the thrasher hyena, but like a lot of, like True Sons for sure do try to flank. And you'll see them run at you. You're like, oh, they're going to fight me. Oh, fuck, they're trying to get behind me. They're trying to get behind us to circle us.
Yeah, and I do feel that variety. So I do like that. So I don't want to take away from that. But there is that part of it too, which is the, it's how far can you take it? It's like, but wait, I am shooting at this person. Why aren't they reacting a bit more? And like, look, to be fair, we've got a long way to go in terms of enemy AI and everything. Yeah. It is an improvement, but that's where I'm feeling in this game that like there's still brick walls a lot of time. Like, I just threw like a grenade out there. And, they kind of like maybe move a little bit, but not always. It's not consistent is what I'd say.
I found that when I throw out grenades, people run away from them.
They do.
Yeah. And it's just like, it pisses me off.
But sometimes they're like on the way.
You goddamn grenades explode.
Well, you got to throw it and then distract them with gunfire is what I found. Mark Dab writes in. It says the IGN preview, and I think it's actually the review in progress from James Duggan, said the bosses are not varied enough, saying that they are really just bigger versions of existing enemies. What are your thoughts?
I saw Destin and Duggan tweeting about this, and I think that so far where we're at in the mid game, they're not wrong that we haven't seen really unique bosses. But then I mentioned that guy with the chainsaw that ran at us. That was terrifying. Yeah. But I don't think we've seen like the big bosses yet, right? Like we're not going to see them until later in the game.
But it's that thing too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't ever expect. I mean, and hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised because I like what I don't expect in this game. But I don't expect somebody to get in like a mech suit and fight me.
No, but I think it's less about the actual boss themselves and more about the boss in the level design, because I vividly remember fighting the woman who was the head of the JTF in the original Division, and that's like one of the 3 major boss fights that you do in that game.
Rest in peace, Joe Farah.
And having that boss fight be really crazy. It was like on Rikers, I think it was. I don't remember, but the way that she was like in the level and the level design, there was an upstairs and a downstairs, and I just vividly remember it being a super challenging fight, not just because she was a bullet sponge, but because of the way that the design was laid out and what you had at your disposal, and all of that I think is part of it, because I don't think this game is not like a traditional RPG. We're going to get a crazy giant weird boss. Like the challenge of the game is not just that one enemy, it's all of the enemies together within the level design.
Sure.
But I do agree with the general sentiment, and that's just what I was getting at, is like there's a certain enemy AI set, there's certain, they share a certain, I don't know, feel, for lack of a better way to put it. They're gonna run at you, or maybe not, or they do react to your grenades and stuff, but you don't have as much, call it special boss design. And I was thinking back on the same thing, probably a different boss. I remember when we ran into, it was the flamethrower person in the first one.
Joe Farah.
Is that who that was?
Yeah.
That
the
is
one
it.
that I was talking
Former
about was
firefighter.
different.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're talking about the
But
JTF.
whatever
I'm
the
talking
case,
about
it
former
was a
firefighter.
big like
Rest in peace.
flamethrower pack, and it was like the tank type, and it was like the beginning of something, and then it just didn't go much farther in the game, is what I'd say.
Yeah.
And I am looking in here in Division 2, and I'm waiting for the same types of things, and like meaning so far we've played 15 hours or whatever, maybe more, and I don't feel like
I'll check my Uplay and to let you know.
Yeah, I think the difference is like what we do get is there's the yellow bar enemy. He's got a real name, and they're gonna run at you. And you have the chem launcher. Like we haven't seen that before, so that there's a newness to it. But what there's not, which I would like to see, and I don't know if it's gonna be there. And I personally think it's just not that type of game. But it's like really make like a boss design, like a level / boss design where I don't know if they're throwing spice packs at you and you have to do something more, call it puzzle oriented, or the weak spots are more like obvious. Like I don't know if they strapped a bomb missile thing to their head for some reason.
Don't shoot me here.
I'm exaggerating a bit because I don't want to lose the suspension of this reality they've created, and that's what they struggle with. But I feel like there is room for like, how is this boss like special? Maybe it has like a crazy chem launcher flamethrower, but it's on a hose that gets like set loose, and all of a sudden you got to take the hose down, and like it's not that type of game though.
Yeah.
But
No.
I personally would love that. I haven't hit that in the game.
But I think that that's the problem, right? Is that they can't service that and maintain this commitment to realism that they have throughout the rest of the world.
I don't know, like using my example, like we shoot at a turret that just sits on a shelf. Like why can't you maybe it's in there, we don't know yet, but why can't you have a boss where the backpack falls off and starts doing something? Now you have to deal with the boss and that, and like it does.
I
It's
feel
not
like we're
designed
going to
way,
get
right?
that with Black Tusk. I really do.
I feel like
Maybe.
some of the side missions that we were doing kind of felt like they had a little bit more of a specialized boss. That gold guy at the end had a little bit more, where at the train one, he does put down a big turret, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just throws the
there's
turret down.
and at the one in the space museum, there are 2 snipers on the top of this like thing, and like we have to then change our strategy to deal with the snipers and the people running at us. Where I don't know how much more diversity
that's
we're
my
gonna
thing.
get, but I think that's the realistic version of that.
And I understand it's different structure, different folks, and especially coming from a Destiny or even an Anthem with a bigger person to fight or bigger thing at the end to fight, or a Destiny raid, I guess is a better example. Like for me personally, what I want out of this experience, like I like that it's kind of grounded, and I don't mind that. Yeah, I appreciate it. Like Kevin's saying, you get it is 2 snipers, you get this guy, and like it is different that guy is throwing down his turret, and they're working us in a different way and trying to flank or being smarter. Or, they're using the multiple access points to us the same way we're trying. Like last night in the train cars where I think 2 of you were down and I was falling back, and then sure enough 2 dudes were coming up the back air. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Kevin's laughing of when Fran tried to get me to jump off a goddamn bridge, break my legs, and save him.
You didn't. Oh,
I killed the guy. We've completed the mission.
left
It totally
me
worked.
to die. But he's the commander. You know, he
I
can
am
do
the
that.
commander.
I'm just a lieutenant.
Kind of funny.
But to finish, look, I don't.
17 hours, by the way, is what on my clock says. Your clock's
okay.
right there. Probably
So yeah, I'm probably right about
Right.
the same. I don't expect it to maybe be that type of game. You said different strokes, different folks, right? That is it. I'm always the guy that's thinking back on Metroid, one of my favorite games. I'm thinking on Zelda, and I love getting to enemy designs because we're going to replay these strikes or missions that you're going to keep replaying it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like these big, boss types.
like
You want
Metal
more
Gear
set
style
pieces.
boss.
Exactly. That being said, I do have an appreciation for. Ultimately, it is just you can strategize around the way that the dude dropped the turret. He's got the big armor, and there's all these different enemy types, and you can play that a lot of different ways. And I think it's more that than what I want it to be.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think it's where they could take Division with maybe Division 3, but it's like imagine these world events where you shoot
Someone
somebody.
massive just went, oh my god.
No. But it's very
Division
hard
3
to do.
already.
But like, I think you could agree, right? Imagine more real-time destruction of environments, things like you see on Uncharted, like things happening where you maybe shoot down a roof that comes collapsing down.
Sure.
In real time, changes the event. It's not so much that right now, and I'm not saying it's a bad game because of it. But
Oh no, we're having a great
aspirationally,
time, obviously.
I could use a little more variety there.
Trying to balance that with the open world design that the Division is the
Yeah.
really challenging part from a technical perspective.
yeah.
And that's why you're not seeing something like that in this game, because it's hard enough to
Oh.
load in the world as it is. And quite frankly, I'm very impressed with how little loading screens there are in the
Yeah.
game. compared to a lot of other open world
It's
games.
a long load to get in, but then I feel like even the fast travel goes quickly. But more importantly, when we're
I don't
all
like
running
the
around,
fast travel too much.
Fast
I
travel's-
feel like I wish I had like a loading bar that was going instead of the like
Really?
The
lines
dot line?
Yeah.
Very-
Just 'cause sometimes I'm like, how much time do I have?
If I can
left?
say very fast on that, though, it does take a good 15, 20 seconds, no different than Anthem in loading time. But the presentation, it's funny how it gets you. You're like, it looks cool. I see the map. And you don't think about this like blank screen with a loading bar. So I actually think they did a pretty good job, but it could use some improvement. Like, why can't I look at the map while I'm fast traveling? It just gets locked up and you just stare at it.
But I mean, with all due respect here now, and as somebody who likes Anthem, like they're apples and oranges, because like you can walk the entire thing and never load if you want, right? It is the fact you're cheating. It is the the javelin or the forge to load.
You should have to
Sure,
load.
but listen, we can look in our menus when we're loading in Destiny. Why can't we do it in the
Thank you.
Division
Oh,
2?
I'm not saying blood off the hook. I'm just
Yeah.
saying for somebody who hasn't seen any of it, you know what I mean?
I really
do have
like
a question though from Michael Frittish, who I think is pretty poignant. Why in 2019 the game have slow loading textures? I have noticed a lot of
It's
that. Where
shocking.
I'm running up to the theater and there's that stupid truck that's like the door, and you look at it, I'm like, this is just like a very interesting piece of. Oh, there it popped in its hands.
So you're
Okay.
getting texture popping.
Yeah,
I've seen
on a
some-
Pro, on a PlayStation 4
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, I'm still getting some pop into, but I think that's just the result of how much art is in this world. And Ubisoft is really good about making their art incredibly dense in the world to make it look realistic. And a byproduct of that is if you're going to have all of these different lighting effects and textures and the dynamic weather and the day and night cycle, it's going to just be a lot of processing for your system to do. So I don't know. That doesn't really bother me that much.
Oh, if I can say one thing at that point too, when I was playing, Jen was like, "Oh man, a lot of textures aren't popping in yet." And for me personally, this is a Greg thing. I went, "Yeah, I guess not," but I'm not like. It's so different to watch someone play a game versus playing the game, right? Because I'm running there and I'm doing that, and if this thing doesn't have a billboard texture, I'm not thinking about it.
Right.
I felt the same way you did playing on my PlayStation Pro. I was like, oh yeah, this is like, yeah, there's some things that are popping a little bit later than they should. But then I went to my PlayStation in my garage.
Yeah, your regular PlayStation
and
4.
there was a big difference there.
Really?
I felt like the pop-in was more, and even it was more of it happening, and it was
I
longer
bet.
delayed. Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna tweak that or optimize that with an incoming
hope so.
patch. I would
I
guess
bet
that
they
they
would,
would.
right?
But it does make you think, like, what an amazing technical achievement Rockstar had with Red Dead Redemption 2.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't
it's in the world.
see a lot of that. You
But
see
it takes you 15 minutes to get anywhere on your horse, so they got plenty of time to render everything in.
You're damn straight.
But,
There's an artist drawing it by hand. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it is. There is the counterpoint, but it is a problem. I agree with Greg.
It's a con.
It's worth saying though that the world does look and feel so good that you don't notice it as much. I'm pretty critical with that and frame rate and all that, as you know. I don't. People were asking me a lot about it. They're like, "Wow, what's up with the texture pop in?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it's happening." Like, I was like Greg that
You're boiled in on what you're doing, and it's
Yeah,
not like I'm
and-
running up to a character that is like gray box T-pose. Like that's not how.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
What's up,
There's
Andy?
a question that was written in from a fan.
Oh, sorry, Andrew Carter, huh? Yeah. And a fan dropped off a post-it note.
Yeah.
You have a marker that matches this.
He let him use it.
Yeah.
Andrew Carter says, "Why can't there be a facial hair option where the mustache is disconnected from the beard?" Oh, well, just men don't have that. That's not the way. That's
Wait,
not how
isn't
facial
the
hair
other
works.
character have that?
No, but it's still
No,
got
no.
a little like.
He's got a full goatee. What are you talking
Andy's
about?
right, or Andrew.
Andrew Carter's right, yeah. Because like,
Oh, you don't have it.
Well,
Well,
when-
your beard and
well, when
mustache.
Andrew Carter like creates a Mii on Nintendo, they let you do just the mustache and they let you do just the beard. Maybe just a stubble option. But
Oh,
I don't need a full on.
Andrew Carter.
Well, Andrew Carter does not need a full on like monster Nick
Giant,
Scarpino
heavy,
beard.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Good
I
question,
agree.
Andrew Carter. Good question.
Good question for Andrew
Real
Carter.
impressive question from
Andrew Carter going to be the
Well,
new
there
host of Debatable. I have a
is-
feeling soon.
An unlockable barber in the game.
Oh, shit! Really?
What?
From what I've seen.
Nice.
I have to check and see
Is
which
it
level
still
it
in there?
is.
Is what she's wondering. I think.
No, that. Oh, sorry. Go on. I was gonna say, what do we think about character creation? Because obviously, Division One.
It's so basic.
They
Yeah.
still look
But it's-
ugly. They're all the hair is still bad. The faces are still bad. Listen, like the people in this world look rough. Okay.
Oh, they've seen some shit. It's the apocalypse, right? That's
There's
the point.
one long hair option, and 3 of us in the group have it.
And one of
Yeah.
us is playing as a female. You know what I mean? Now, all that said, when Scott Lowe ran up on us, it was
He
like, holy
looked like
fuck, you look
Scott,
like
man.
Scott Lowe. Like, you
Well, really,
look.
doesn't that say more about Scott Lowe and
Well,
the
we're all just
genericness?
generic white guys. You know what I mean?
Not all of us.
Well, okay.
Somebody
Well,
made
don't
you
know
too,
you.
Greg. Did you see? Somebody tweeted out they made you.
Oh, no, shit. Did it look
Yeah,
great?
and it looks like you.
Yeah?
So for some reason, the white
But he's
guy
like
with the
too
beard.
thin, right? He's too thin. That was my thing. I got to that point.
Yeah, he might be.
Tubby.
I went over to the male option and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to make myself. And I went through, I'm like, none of this looks like me. And I went back and made a Kara.
Yeah, so once you reach level 15 and unlock the campus settlement, you travel over
we have
it, and then
campus.
you can unlock a barber, and I'm going to leave his name blank in case you guys don't want to know.
Okay,
Joe
well, funny.
Farrow.
I will check that tonight because I can go back there.
I had a rough
Bunch
thing
of
in New
scars.
York.
I will say for all the detail they've added, the character screen is, I don't know if they're trying to speed you through it or it's just not the tool set they have. I feel like it's the latter. They just haven't developed it out, and like they let you do a couple things like the nose height and forehead, brow, but like it's not
like BioWare or something where you're like,
and even skin tone, like
And
I
I
found
mean,
confusing
Mass
and it was difficult.
Very
to-
confusing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
I
didn't
was-
quite understand it. I picked like a type, and then I could only do skin tone within that face type or
Well,
something.
Yeah,
because when
that's it.
when you're at the character creation at the beginning, I think the idea is that you hit the randomize until you get a character that's close.
Oh, interesting.
To the one that you want. And I mean, I've done this now like 4 times. So
did you do the thing where you started it and looked at it and you're like, oh, that doesn't look good? Go
I
back.
didn't. I because I knew through practicing through these press demos that we did that I needed to keep hitting randomize until I found one that was pretty close to what I wanted.
Amazing,
And then
tweaks.
once you have something pretty close to what you like, you can do little tweaks up and down. But you can't take a face that looks like it has like a brown skin tone and then make it a white or black skin tone. You have to find a character that has a black skin tone, and then you can adjust the level of darkness. Same with like the white textures, the brown textures, and everything in between.
Very confusing.
Yeah,
Those
no, it
first
is.
5
It's
minutes,
not
I was
great,
like,
Kevin. It's not great.
I don't know what I want to do here.
Also, Julia knows that they didn't put the right red in for red hair. Can make my hair blue.
Yeah, that's
can
the-
make my hair purple. Can't make my hair red.
That's the top issue of
He
the
knows.
character creation. But the randomization is the same thing, though. It's still working within all these face types and everything, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't miss out by not randomizing.
Well,
right?
but the randomizing, it's what's weird about it is that like ethnicities have specific types of facial features. The way the eyes are set, the way the forehead is set, mouth, etc. Like that exists in biology in the world, in genealogy or whatever.
Kevin,
that
can I
word
get
is.
a science with Kev check on that?
yeah, but that is like, but that's within
so,
a
like-
certain stereotype. Like not even stereotype
No,
is
this
the
is
word.
just,
but
this is just the way that like the human DNA works, and so the thing that's tough about the randomized character is that it
It's just mixing-
mismatches
yeah,
all
yeah.
of these different
Oh, I
types
see
of
where you're going
features
with it.
together, so you get some really wonky looking faces.
yeah, my counter
Because that's
oh.
not the way that human bodies are built within the human genome.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was getting. At. It's that they're trying to fit you
genome.
into these like
Nailed
sort
it.
of predicted that you'll look like something that I guess they thought you know the character should look like, but what it doesn't account for is you might have a lot of different mixed features and you're trying to make yourself and you're like I can't do it. Like I actually do want the nose from this other character and the jawline from this other one, but I can't mix them. So yeah, I was definitely left wanting on it. Is the short of it, and it is a miss. I feel like in a world that is so important that you feel like you're in it.
Yeah.
And
I don't know
it's
why they didn't just
surprising.
unlock all of those sliders and just let you make your own.
But couldn't you choose? Because when I initially started setting it up, I didn't realize
Bless
that
you.
changing skin tone was going to change the face type. So like then I made tweaks to the chin to like match the previous chin that I had.
It's very confusing. All I will say is it's not nearly
Yeah.
customizable enough to make yourself consistently. And yeah, honestly, it is a disappointment, but I made a character that looks reasonably good. It's funny, I tried to, like, I'm being honest, tried to make myself-ish with, like, longer hair, and that was all I
your
meant to do.
character is hilarious.
And all I get is 2 points of feedback. Is that John Riesinger?
Yeah.
Is it Riesinger? Riesinger.
I think it's Reisinger.
Reisinger. It's
Reisinger,
definitely
sorry.
Reisinger.
John Reisinger.
does look a lot like him.
Or Dr. Disrespect.
It does look like Dr.
Because it has long hair. And
I
it's
put,
like
up,
you're one
I
of the
put up the photo of our team on Twitter, but mainly on Instagram where I was like tapping, and you and Kevin, I was like, fuck, which one's which?
And then Kevin has a beard with long hair, and his face type, I bet, is different, but it's hard to tell.
You can't tell, yeah.
I bet you, I don't know, we should compare if you have the same
Nah,
face.
it seems like a lot of work and something you'll take like 15 minutes
quick
to
photo.
do.
I want to get back to some customization questions, or actually cosmetic things. But first, a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Movement. There's no one who disrupts the status quo and looks good doing it quite like the team over at MVMT. That's Movement Watches. Movement Watches, sunglasses, and accessories are designed in LA, and the styles are super sleek, clean, and fashion forward. If you didn't know, we all love our Movement sunglasses. I wear mine all the time when I'm not doing some goofy wrestling thing because I don't want them to get broken. But when you see me taking photos with my lovely wife out on the beach or traveling down in LA, I'm wearing those Movement sunglasses, and they do so much more. As much as we all love our screens, the fact is they're draining on our eyes. So check out Movement's Ever Scroll glasses that protects your eyes from harmful blue light so you can keep on gaming. You also look great doing it. Their Ever Scroll lenses come in a ton of different frames and styles, so there's a fit for everyone. Movement watches, meanwhile, start at just $95. You're looking at $400 to $500 for the same quality of traditional brands. Nick loves it. We all love it. Kevin wears his. I think Kevin got married in his. Whenever we have to dress up, we usually wear our Movement watches. Movement has sold almost 2 million watches in over 160 countries. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movement.com/kinda. Movement's launching new styles on their site all the time, so check out the latest Movement watches at mvmt.com/kinda. That's movement.com/kinda. Join the movement. Meanwhile, let's talk about Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 25,000 classes in design, business, and more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so you can join the classes and communities that are just right for you. Whether you want to fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even career, Skillshare is the perfect place to keep you learning and thriving. Of course, Tim used this when he was getting ready to work on all the projects we needed for Kinda Funny 4.0. He went there to learn about different video effects he could use for all the packages and the starts of the show so well. Skillshare is also super affordable. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. Join more than 7 million creators learning with Skillshare. The first 500 of my subscribers to use the link in the description of this video will get a 2-month free trial. That's right. The first 500 people to sign up will receive a 2-month free trial. Go to the link in the description of this Gamescast to get started today. All right, Gabriel Barra wrote in with this question. How do you guys feel about the cosmetics? I feel like in the first one, I was quickly finding new apparel and switching my agent's look on the fly, whereas here, it feels like they're leaning a lot more on the store, with drop rates for clothing being lower.
I'm not finding.
I feel like it's too early to say.
clothes.
Yeah, because we've hardly got anything. I found a couple things.
I found
in the world.
quite a few pieces of
Really?
clothing by looting in the open world.
Yesterday, I got a bunch too when we were going in terms of shirts and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a light blue color when it pops up. But yeah, just wandering around opening backpacks, I've gotten pants, shirts,
That's where you
sunglasses.
get it from, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
gotta find it. You don't really get it as mission drops.
Yeah,
No.
mission drops are
I got
definitely
dyed
weapons
from a
and gear.
mission.
Right.
Yeah, I think I got that
You
too.
can dye your guns and all that stuff. So and that's the cool part. You can hover over stuff. And to be fair, I think I need to take a closer look. Like, is there like a T-shirt somewhere that I can earn? I don't know. I saw some dye out there, but otherwise, I guess you have to explore a lot. So I don't know if any of us have done enough of that. Sounds like maybe you guys. Is there?
Yeah.
There looks to be a lot in the store. I mean, this is
There's a ton in the store, yeah.
for me, this is next week's discussion that we're like, hopefully we're like, all right, here's what's going on with the loot. The store is not even open, by the way. As of recording, the store had, you could preview a couple things, but you can't buy stuff yet.
Really?
Right? Yeah, I tried to go
When
in.
you tab over to store, it'll say, yeah, this isn't up. But like when you go to the actual dial into the items, you can see them there for $250.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
see
that's right.
them,
You
but
could see the stuff. You just couldn't
You
buy
can't
it.
actually purchase
really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I do wish there was a way to purchase more cosmetics with in-game currency.
That'd be very nice, yeah.
That's the thing that's really frustrating is that Ubisoft usually nails that by offering plenty of options and ways to earn currency to buy cosmetics, but also being able to fast track it with real money. And right now, nothing in the apparel store is able to be purchased with in-game credits, and that's a huge bummer.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they didn't do either or. All I will say that I will place a bet on that is sort of the average. I don't think you're going to be earning a lot of like shirts and items like as a natural playthrough, let's call it. Meaning the average. I'm doing the missions. It does seem like you have to make an effort to go searching for this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much is it out there.
Have you gotten... Oh, sorry.
The point I just wanted to finish was I don't like the way that it's dropping. I've been playing for 15, 20 hours, and we had that one T-shirt. I can't change the color.
I think that was like downloadable stuff.
And even
with
that
the
was, but
package that
from
we
the
read.
gold or
Listen, I
Ultimate
can't
Edition.
even change my T-shirt or I think I got a pair of glasses from I think it was Ubi Club even. So I'm just not getting a lot naturally.
I
is
think
all I would
that
say.
something that maybe we need to consider with the cosmetic system, and like obviously like I'm down to pay for cosmetic items because like I just like to look the way that I want to look.
Yeah.
But what they added this time around that really wasn't as prominent in the first one, or maybe not even part of the game, was the gear sets that actually have a visual identity and they have a stat bonus.
Yeah.
So in addition to the clothing that you're wearing underneath of your gear, the chest piece you're wearing, the gloves, the knee pads, they all have different manufacturers, much like in Borderlands.
Yeah.
And so if you wear, the same gloves, knee pads, and vests from the same vendor, you're going to get a stat buff for that. And visually, they're all going to have the same look.
Yep.
And so I think they're wanting people to chase more of that stuff than the actual cosmetic items. And I'm kind of like on the fence about how I feel about that.
Yeah, that as quick as we're turning over gear. Again, when we get to end game and I'm getting amazing stuff, and then I'll be building out a set or whatever. But right now I see it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I know that I'm gonna get gloves in a second that have better stats. So why? It's the same reason I don't buy anything from the store, right? Where it's like, well, what do I do? I'm sorry, in the in-game store of when I talk to a vendor, I'm like, well, no, this thing's 20 things better. I'm gonna get 20 things better. No problem, just playing the game.
Yeah, I would love in the comments, if you've played it over the weekend by the time this goes up, would love to know if you've searched for this stuff and how much of it you feel is in the early to mid game. Call it the first 15 to 20, because I'm not feeling it. Greg, you found some stuff, but I do feel there's a definite danger there where it's like once that store's open,
Sure.
maybe like, I'm just gonna buy this because like this stuff sucks. And I
this
don't know
is-
that it does. I haven't explored the way Greg did.
Have you gotten an apparel cache yet?
Yes, I got it from something.
Yeah, I don't
think.
either. Yeah, me
I
too.
think
It
that's
was-
where I got the glasses.
I definitely have. Obviously, we had.
it was challenge based, maybe.
We had caches based on the editions we got, but since then,
Yeah,
since
the Ultimate Edition came with caches.
turning that stuff, but I turned all that in like early on, and I got at least one or two since then. In the last night or the night before.
I got a fireman hat.
Exactly, and I got those headphones that look like the Guardian of the Galaxy
Yeah.
headphones.
Oh, those are
but
cool.
like those are the ones that they're selling on the store, so it did drop that for me instead of making me buy it.
I'm also having a problem that I did a bunch of like UB Club drops. I've had it forever, and none of it showed up. Like I'm very confused. I think it's actually a pre-launch early access bug.
I hope so.
Because like I got sweatpants and like another shirt that has something on, and none of that is available to
For me,
I've
it's
looked everywhere.
It's classic Greg luck, where the one patch I want is the Assassin's Creed Odyssey one, and I redeemed it on UB Club, and I go into my patches, and I have the beta one, and I have a Rainbow Six one, and I have a Wildlands one. I'm like,
Why did you
where's
have
the
that one?
Assassin's Creed? So I went back to UB Club. It's like, you already redeemed it. I'm like, God
See, it's
damn
not
it.
showing
Where
up
is
yet, right?
Yeah, where is it? I don't know
I
where it is.
think that hopefully these issues will be worked out with the day one patch that they're going to push.
Totally. I
They
don't
better
know.
be.
But are they baiting you into the store? That is the question.
We'll
that
see.
we
I mean,
keep
next
running
week.
into.
Next week we'll know more, probably.
Like, and I'm glad
really
that you
hope not.
reminded me that you do get these apparel drops in the caches, but that again is an RNG component to an already super RNG heavy game. And it's like when it comes to cosmetic items only, why have an RNG component? Why not just put it in the store and let me buy it?
Yeah.
Well, they did, right? Or-
No, I mean with real world money.
Oh,
but
you mean- I'm sorry,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
giving people options that can't afford to spend additional funds
but
on
he-
a game that's already $60. I just like. And I'm not trying to say that they have a loot problem because they don't.
No,
There's a
there's
ton
tons
of
of
loot
loot.
in this game, so
My-
don't get your panties in a bunch about that. But I just wish that they would follow the model that they've set in their other games.
Well, they remember in Division 1 we could buy with in-game currency.
Cosmetics.
Thank you, cosmetics.
Yeah.
I was customizable.
Vanity items.
So the hope maybe again is that we're going to continue to upgrade the theater, upgrade the White House, and there will be a vendor that does that. I don't know. I'm not defending them. I'm just saying we are talking right now without getting there.
Yeah,
Before
it's. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say before we move on with cosmetics, like I've played for 11 hours. I just checked, and I think I've only found a shirt, and I've been trying
That's
to
what I'm
walk
saying.
around a little
That's
bit.
the RNG component
Yeah.
of the
yeah.
loot
But I'm
boxes
saying
in the world, right?
experiences might be different because hearing you guys are like, oh, I found a bunch. Like that's cool, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no, totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's-
RNGesus, man.
something, yeah, but there's
Start
something on the
praying.
natural path that maybe it's. But the last point I would make, there also is again the counterpoint. There's a lot that you want to go out and earn. Once I figured out that I got that rose-colored dye drop, which by the way is RNG, it's a dye drop that I got that was rose, but like maybe you want another color. I think you can rerun that mission for that chance.
Oh, really?
I'm not totally sure, but the point is,
guess.
there's as you hover. The fact you can go out and do that. And actually dyes are pretty cool. Like all these custom sets you're talking about, you can actually mod through the mod and gear system, you can dye these pieces to make a custom look color-wise. And I think they even have like potential skins and stuff. So
But you can only, to be clear, dye gear that's blue or higher.
yes, exactly. And that was the point I was going to
You
make.
can only skin
Interesting.
weapons
Got
that
it.
are blue or higher.
So the counterpoint here was that there is this feeling of earned power there that once you get it and you see someone walking around with dyed gear wherever we're going, that's pretty cool. And once you do it, you're like, yeah. Like I literally had to starve that my gun. But so I don't know how I feel about it. It took me 12 hours to get a colored gun. Once I got it, I was like, let's go.
Yeah. My American flag guns I'm rocking right now, I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so you feel that. And like on that side, maybe that's the intention. Is like you are going to starve for the first 10. Don't tell us
totally,
it's not there,
yeah.
Maybe it is there. So it's a little early to say.
Yeah. Something to keep an eye out for, right? Corey Cudney says, how do you recommend
Not a real name.
newer... No, fake it, made up name. King of the Gifts, Corey Cudney.
Andrew Carter.
How do you recommend newer players to this series handle progression, building out characters, etc.? So far, I've just been plugging weapons and gear with a higher number and calling it good, wondering if the FJS... That's the Fran Jose Sharks, of course. have best practices on making sure you're a good asset to a team. I think right now you're fine, Corey. We talked about this with Kevin right now, right? You're just plugging stuff in and whatever. And I think the higher we get up, then it's just about communicating with your team in terms of what this mission calls for. What are you running? What are we having troubles with?
Yeah, I mean, even when I would join up with you guys over the last couple times we played together, like one of the first questions I ask is, what skills are you rolling with? Because
and then the second question is, should I open a bottle of champagne by myself?
That was a great question.
And I drank 3/4 of it.
I know. As soon as you said that, I made a Boulevardier.
But I was playing after they shut the servers down. I went over to Destiny and ran some Reckoning. So, here's the thing about that is when you're in early game, I mean, you know how it is. Like, you're just going to be dumping gear constantly to get the thing that has just a few more points. But the skills are really where you can manage your effectiveness with your team. And that's something that you should look at I mean, like, you want to be critical with your skill points at the beginning and your shade tech points because they'll go quickly if you start to use them on unlocks for different types of skills. So, for example, let's say you use your first unlock. I always recommend people to get either the attack drone or the attack turret as their first unlock because it will help you in some of those early missions. But then you can get the different variants of the drone or the turret, but those are 5 shade tech points each, and that's like 5 potential perks you could buy.
Right. So I've gone all perks.
Yeah.
I've got my skills that I like, right? I have the drone, I have the turret. I had opened up another one, the chem launcher. I didn't dig that. Yeah. And so then I was like, you know what? I've just been pouring it into my perks, so I'm almost done with what I can before I get to level 30.
Yeah. Just so I understood the question. Was this just about skills and shade tech perks, or was it the overall
handle progression? Building out.
Because I'm saying like with the gear and the guns, you kind of just got to roll with what you get. For the first X amount of levels, you just got to keep cycling through gear until you find stuff you like. Where you can diversify your progression is in the skills and the perks.
Yeah. What I wanted to say though is so on the perks and the skills, I actually will say, like, make sure to use them, and you can do it how you want, though, but I actually think just buying the different perks and messing around with them probably makes it more fun early on, because you get to try more stuff.
More health kits, more armor kits, more...
Well, that's on perks, right? I'm just saying, actually, maybe
You're talking skills?
Contrary to what you
skills.
said,
Okay.
maybe just there's a lot of... The first variant of everything is just one skill set, and maybe go and try them, because it's kind of more fun to be like, I tried this. I mean, yeah, that sucks, actually. I hate it. I'm going back to whatever, but I feel like that's a lot of fun. Now, you also can't change who you are. If you love the turret and the healing drone, then don't change it because that's your playstyle. But
I felt like such a jackass last night because I've been letting all my my skill points sit there because I was like, oh, well, I might want to open up a different turret, so that's going to take 5 extra. And then I looked at it last night when you mentioned that, and I was like
30.
Those are all shade points. Yep. I've just been sitting on these
you've
skill
been
points for
sitting on
no
skill points.
reason. Yeah.
Because
I was like, what an annoying little blip in the corner telling me I have it. It's going to sit there forever. I'm like,
so if I understood that right too, right? You're saying
the game was like, let me help you.
I didn't even spend them still though, because I'm like, I like the drone and I like the turret. Like I like what I like.
Just unlock it to make the message go away.
But then it's like, well, then I get into that choice of just like, which one do I unlock? Which shield do I unlock?
Let me show you the magic of the chem launcher. And I will change your mind.
I watched you play it.
Chem launcher,
I bought the fire one. I bought the incinerator one.
The incinerator's great, but the chem launcher with the healing is pretty great too. Actually, I didn't think I'd like the hive as much as I do, but I think it's going to be my new favorite skill.
Hive tech.
When I see Kevin use the roly-polies, I'm like, I don't know.
I
love it so much.
See, this is my point. Is my advice is actually fight if you are that type of person. I was that type of person almost on the betas. And then when I went in this game, I said, you know what? I'm going to buy the thing that nobody else is buying right now. Because when I went in, everybody knew that turret and healing drone, that's what you get. So I got these like firefly things that you throw like a paper airplane. And I got the one that said like it would target weak points. Yeah, but it only works on weak points.
I had trouble with the Firefly too.
It's confusing. It only works on
Fran
enemies
is like
with
Sam Rockwell in Iron Man 3. Like, I don't know how to use this thing
Yeah,
still.
basically. But I really enjoyed trying it out. Anyway, that was my first piece of advice is do that. But do read stuff closely and take, if you're the type of player, of course. But in the perks, like you noticed, and it was a good tip, there's one that relates to like if you get headshots, it's extra XP.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah,
Just
good.
I
Survive
loaded up on
longer.
all those.
Yeah, totally.
They related to XP. So look closely still, read everything. And that was my last note is as you go through gear, even though it was green, I was so much looking at the power and DPS type increases. Make sure to look at the perks because, like, I saw, for example, the health on kill, and I don't even know if it works that well yet, but a couple on, like, armor drops and stuff. You'll get, like, plus 300 armor as a random RNG drop, and that's, like, you look at it, you're like, well, wait, or health drop, that is. So your health might only go by 100, but your armor might only go by 100, but your health, you get, like, a 250%, not percent, point bonus. You get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Look closely, and I actually really do appreciate that in the early loot game, it's got this level of detail for players that want it.
Yeah, and then my experience with it is I was sticking with the same two things. I had the one that heals, the drone that heals your armor, and my roly-polies. I love the roly-polies. Not going to change on those. But then I tried the turret, and like, for my playstyle, which is like, I gotta throw stuff in there and kind of hide as much as possible and try to survive. And like, having the turret really changed stuff. So I'm glad I was able to try that. I also got the chem launcher. I haven't tried it yet, but that also seems like something I could really use.
It's fun.
A couple easy ones. Wesley wrote in and said, if you help another player clear out a mission, side mission, or control point, does it help with your progress, or do you need to do it on your own?
Doesn't help with your if it's a story mission that you haven't played. I think it'll clear the progression for you. Yeah, but if I was going into some friends' games and helping them replay some stuff, and the benefit of that is you just get more gear drops. So
yeah, but if you haven't done, we did confirm that.
Control points and all that count towards both of our progressions for our projects.
As long as you haven't done it yet, though, don't fear jumping in someone else's game. The side mission, it all counts. Maybe the counterpoint was like in Anthem, for example. I played with a crew that I mentioned, and they did the whole thing with me. They weren't seeing cutscenes, and they realized they have to go back and do everything. It's not like that.
That sucks.
Yeah, not like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Tristan writes in and says, as someone who has not enjoyed games as a service before, mainly due to season passes, would you say this game is for me? I'm enjoying Anthem, but it's also because I know all future content will be free. Does this apply to Division 2?
They said all year one content for the Division 2 is free. It's included. And then they've added the season pass for additional content on top of that.
Yeah, that's like bounties and challenges. That's not the main. They're doing episodes, right? They're doing episodes throughout the year that are all free, and you could just keep going.
Right, in early access. So there's actually a graphic that's in the What's Good Discord that I could maybe put in the Kind of Funny subreddit that highlights all the stuff that's either early access, that's cosmetic content, or it's extra content, depending on what is most important to you. But that's something that Julian talked a lot about over several press events that I went to, is that they didn't want to split the community like they did with Division 1. And so they decided to make all of that content included. And then they obviously still want to sell a season pass to make some money. So they added more stuff on top of that.
And that's one of the things for me that makes me so excited to keep playing it, especially this weekend where I've taken everything off and I'm just going to play. And you're all, yeah, exactly.
Let's
just chill out, Fran. Just
you know
chill
where
out.
I'll be.
I'm
right
jealous.
there in the Fran cave.
I'm
right there.
I'm going to be so far behind now.
What are you doing this weekend?
Whoever's
coming in town?
are coming into town. We're doing streams on Saturday and on Sunday.
There's your stream. Play Division.
Play Division.
Come on.
Well, yeah, but that's only like 2 hours.
Whatever.
That's like 20 hours.
But I really
listen,
get excited
it's St. Patrick's
of
Day. We're gonna
putting
be
this much
wasted.
work in now.
It's St. Patty's Day. That's right.
Putting this much work in, learning how to, loving the game, getting into it with you guys, and hitting, level cap hopefully this weekend, starting that end game, and then having this constant drip of content. In the clan right now, with the clan challenges, Fran, we were talking about it yesterday, how cool it was to get the full group in there, see the XP start filling in, right? Have the clan leaderboard in there, but then just have the ability to jump in and, do I want to spend, like right now where I can't wait to fucking get home and play more and spend 6 hours sitting there? Or is it going to be that, hey, I got 30 minutes, let's see what anybody else needs and run around and do some stuff and just get some gear?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of content at launch, and without the season pass and all that, you don't have to worry about that.
Do you know if, this is an aside, do you know if your save data is attached to your Ubisoft account like it is of Destiny, or do you have to upload your data?
It is attached to your account. It's all in the cloud. You don't have to do anything. There's no local save other than maybe settings, but I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, because I've been turning it on here and there and everywhere.
Oh, great. Good
So
to know.
it's just all there. It remembers. Final question comes from Justin Harris. With Ubisoft Massive nailing this game, is it officially the first looter shooter to get it right, at least at launch?
No,
see
like I
tomorrow.
said, Borderlands.
Yeah,
Borderlands
exactly,
was the
right?
first. Like Borderlands has amazing loot, and the end game progression that they did with subsequent DLC packs for all of the Borderlands games. I think Gearbox really nailed it, and I'm so excited for Borderlands 3.
Can't wait to see what they have up their
But
sleeve.
what about for like current gen stuff?
That's the
Yeah.
question, right? And I think obviously we keep talking about it as if it's out, and then we had all these blue screens last night,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's see what happens for real on
Yeah,
Friday.
it hasn't even launched.
Yeah.
When everybody
Exactly.
does have an access, I do want to see what are queues, because you were talking about how you'd run into queues when you got booted once, and I haven't seen that. But again, we are playing in early access, so when it does get out there, it'll be very interesting to see Friday tomorrow when we're trying to stream.
How it
is it all
goes,
going to
yeah.
go great, or is it going to be the traditional kind of funny stream where we try to stream and nothing works?
I am really excited to play tomorrow, just because now we have had that like 4 days of playing.
Sure,
and
it's not like
it's
Anthem
not
where
like,
nobody
I don't
knew
know
what's
what I'm
going
doing.
on and
Yeah.
what does this do? And like, come on, let's do something. I don't know how to do it.
That's what you get with that early access, right? Yeah, for me, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, we're only level 15. It's way too early to say. The game has not even officially launched yet.
Yeah.
It was recorded on Thursday before the midnight launch on our time zone. So we got to like see how that goes. But what I will say is very early, Division has learned from itself above all.
Yeah.
And you can compare it to Anthem, compare it to everything else, but it is Division through and through.
And I love it.
I'm seeing all the learning. So what it really just nailed is learning from itself. I don't know, as you compare the different games, I think there's a lot to say still and a lot to see. The end game in particular, that to me, we're weeks out from answering the question because I can't even get to level 30 and tell you they nailed it without knowing what the end game is.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what it's like to get there and have the strongholds we're
that
being
grind?
teased with,
The
to see
raid?
what's going on with the raid,
Those
right?
8-person raids.
Yeah, even like Kevin and I were waiting for you guys last night. We ran up on the Air Force One down, and it was like, oh, cool! I've played this at E3. Let's do it, Kevin. We were obliterated, and it was in our level,
shit
but
out
it
of
was
us.
then
That's a tough level.
because there's
yeah.
the giant halo of enemies, and it was just like we were not prepared for
came
this.
from
We need everybody.
every
We need to have a
corner.
plan.
Yeah.
We need Fran there to count us
Yeah,
down
we
from
need
5. the 5 countdown.
Countdown.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Kinda Funny Gamescast, episode 213. Rest in peace, Tim Gettys. I'm future-proofing.
Just in case.
You know, just in case. What did you think of the Division 2 with your opening weekend? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. Feel free to tweet at us. Of course, find a Kinda Funny clan if you're playing the Division 2. They are everywhere. The official one we're doing, official in quotes. You know, you only have 50 people in these, so we're cycling it as we can if people drop out or this, that, and the other. But of course, many best friends are making them, so feel free to get out there and squad up and have a good time. Remember, the Kinda Funny Gamescast is recorded each and every Thursday on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. It posts early and ad-free on Friday on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. But if you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe each and every Monday to get the show. Keep up with Andrea on What's Good.
That's right. What'sgoodgames.com. You can find us on YouTube right here, youtube.com/what'sgoodgames, or on your favorite podcast app.
Keep up with Fran on twitch.tv/FM3_, where I'm streaming with him quite often. Kevin, too.
Yes, please come by, support me. Also, always good reminder is on the Epic Store. You can catch me just the name Fran Mirabella if you want to support me in Fortnite or on the Epic Store.
Why not unified naming, huh?
I actually want that. It's not as easy as
Big
you say.
old ball of wax.
It's a legality thing, Kevin.
And to keep up with Kevin Coelho on Brazzers.com.
No, that's not true.
We're going to do the post show.
go there.
That's on patreon.com/kindafunnygames.
if you
But
want.
until the next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Saying if you're looking for me, don't look there.
Go to Brazzers.com and search
Don't.
Milk Mommy. See what happens.